But what we're talking about here is taxes, and there's three types of taxes that we're looking at. Sales tax, actually four, no, three. Sales tax, excise tax, which is also called luxury tax, and property tax. Sales tax, excise tax, E-X-C-I-S-E, and property tax. Now, when we get into the property tax area, I'm going to cover it a little bit more in depth than I did last semester, but I don't usually discuss the concept of mills. I just think it's somewhat ridiculous. It's not hard to understand. But who owns a home? Who pays property tax? So are you familiar with the concept of mills? M-I-L-L-S. You've never heard it. Okay, that's a good sign. So any problems related to that, you're not going to have to do. All the other ones you will. There's about 12 or 13 problems on this thing, but they go pretty quickly. Okay. Did this take off on me in advance? Okay. Sales tax. First one. It depends on which state you're in, but what is the sales tax rate in this state?
7.4.
7.4%. Okay, so it varies by state. If you live in some other states, you know that, right? And in some places, they don't even charge sales tax. Nevada. Or on certain products, there might not be any sales tax, like the oranges in Florida. Anything in orange products, you know. Because I lived there for a long time, and there was no taxes, as far as I knew, on stuff like that. So why do some states have no sales tax? They're not getting any revenue. Don't they need that revenue to provide public goods for the state, like parks? What else? Anything that's for the public. Fixing up the roads.
You know, a lot of it, except for example, in Las Vegas, the casinos in Texas, a lot of it's from oil. The revenue cover for the state taxes.
Yeah, that's true.
Texas, you mean Texas to replace?
Yeah, because Texas you don't pay state taxes.
Okay, Texas is another one. That's a big state. And with all the people there, as a matter of fact, let's see, Dallas and Houston, aren't they both in the Big Five, most populated cities in the country? I know Dallas Fort Worth is like number 2, I think.
And it goes New York, LA, I think Chicago,
And changed.
and
It used to be Dallas was number 2.
Dallas is growing.
I know it was
Houston's the biggest city in Texas.
It's bigger than Dallas Fort Worth.
Yes.
Okay. My whole point is that the population there is tremendous. So if they had state taxes, which I never lived there, and I'll take your word for it, they don't, then just imagine the revenue they get. So hopefully you're understanding what I'm talking about here. They take our taxes and they provide public goods with those taxes, supposedly, right? I'm sure some of that goes into a few pockets here and there. I mean, be realistic. You have a question?
Is it true that because Texas is the biggest state, that when it comes to exports and whatnot, whatever the export curriculum is in Texas, like that is supposed to be national, they're based by
As far as I know, and I can't tell you 100%, but as far as I know, it's usually like according to the region. In other words, they would have an influence on their region, their part of the country. I don't know about the whole country. You know, I've seen that happen living in different regions of the country, that kind of stuff. But who knows? Maybe it is the whole country.
Where Texas kills you is property tax. Where Texas kills
Property tax, yes.
Texas
And California too.
California too.
California will get you property taxes. So if you're looking to move there, you got to set up a separate savings account. If you're buying a home, to pay your property taxes once a year, because what happens if you don't pay them? They can do all kinds of bad things. Maybe repossess, foreclose. I guess repossess would be the proper term in that case, right? Take your tax returns, whatever.
Yeah.
Garnish your wages. Okay, so moving right along. Explained all this. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example. Okay, let me point something out, make it very clear. Right here. It says the trade discount. There's an error here. The trade discount is 10.5%. Actually, imagine a dollar sign right here. Get rid of the percent. Because if you look over here, trade discount is $10.50. It is not 10.5%. Okay? I had to go through that many times. I knew it was coming. One thing about this example, it involves the purchase of a battery. Okay, a battery, a car battery. From what I remember, or from what I know, I just look at your quiz, you don't have any problems that have anything to do with car batteries or shipping charges, or excuse me, trade discounts. We do look at trade discounts, but that comes later, much later. This type of trade discount, isn't that the core? Like when you bring in the old battery? I think that's what they're talking about here. You know what I'm talking about, right? You bring your battery, and they give you so much credit.
Yeah, core charge.
Yeah, that's what this is. You're trading in the old one for the new one, right? And they give you a credit to $9.50. Let's start from the beginning. They want you to compute the sales tax and total price. So two things. Just the amount of the sales tax and the total price. Now think about that logically. The total price, does that include the sales tax?
Yes.
Of course. Okay, keep that in mind. The selling price of this battery is $32. There's a shipping charge, don't ask me why. $3.50. I guess they're passing that on to us. There's a trade discount. You bring in the old battery of $10.50, and the sales tax rate is 5%. That is 0.05. Right? Okay. Over here are the calculations. Here's your final answers are in here, and I can help you cut out one of the steps right here. All right. Let's start from the top. The price of the battery, $32. Now we're going to subtract the trade discount. Remember, you will not see anything like this on your quiz. So even though you're looking at it now and you're taking notes, this won't be applicable there. Because right here you have to subtract the trade discount before you find the taxable amount of the purchase price. Does that make sense? So you won't see this again. Okay? If it were me, I would have a better example up here. Anyway, $21.50 is taxable, not the full $32, because you got a discount in the trade. Now, 5% is the tax rate. Where do we get that? Right here. 5% of $21.50 is $108. Now, who can tell me, how can we skip a step right here? We can multiply $21.50 times 1.05. Because if we do that, we will end up with what? It'll give us the tax plus what?
The 21.50.
Plus the $21.50. Because look what happens here. You saw they added it back in? In other words, you got the tax. That's just the tax, $1.08. And they added back in the $21.50. So just to make that shorter, you could have multiplied that times 1.05. And you would have gotten the same answer. Okay? At the end, you will add in finally the shipping charge or any other charges. And you get the total price, which includes the sales tax. So two things there. The sales tax and the total price for misbehavior. Okay, any questions? Again, it's not the greatest example because you're not going to see something like this on the quiz. But it is similar. It just doesn't have, stuff like this. Okay? You're going to have some problems. I will ask you to find the actual sales. It's called the actual sales. What this means, throughout the course of one business day, for instance, you might sell so much merchandise. Okay? Well, you're going to charge taxes to your customers, right? Do you get to keep that tax money? That your customers
No,
are paying you?
that's-
No, you have to give it to who?
The government.
The man, right? The government, the state. Sales tax. You don't get to keep it. So anyway, we're trying to factor out or get the tax out. We're trying to take it out from the total sales for the day to where we can find what we actually get to keep. Does that make sense? Okay, that's what we're doing. So register receipts total $40,000 for the day, but we don't get to keep that much, right? Because that includes taxes. It includes 7% tax. So what are the actual sales? Look over here. It's very simple. The formula is what? 40,000, which is total sales, divided by 1 plus the tax rate. So think about what's happening there. You divide by 1 plus the tax rate. What you're doing is you're factoring out the 7% and keeping whatever's left. That's why we used 1 plus the tax rate. And that answer is what? 37,383 and 18 cents. What's right answer? Any questions? Okay. You might have some problems that are going to ask you for multiple things: actual sales, sales tax, different things. So. Okay, let's talk about luxury tax, excise tax. Why do you see pictures of these items here? Because what? Okay, they're want as opposed to needs. Is that how we can say it? So anything that's a want that we don't really need to live.
Luxury.
But that varies with the person. Because women will say that this might be a need. It doesn't sound
True. But I see that
Maybe
Corvette
something
right
else.
there is a D.
Say again?
I was saying, well, us guys would think that a car right there would be a D.
Yes, and I have one just like that. I didn't pay any luxury tax on it. What was similar to this? So, I don't recall luxury tax.
What year?
Oh, I think it's the year.
I don't know what year.
It's a 2000. It's in great shape.
Used to be the amount, because I've seen luxury tax on like Lincoln Continentals.
Oh, no. I just want a big engine.
Yeah, so I've seen it on.
Yeah, you get a big straight line. Problem, you gotta turn.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So if you buy a luxury automobile, so something that's imported maybe a Lamborghini,
That's
You
pretty
know,
good right there.
yeah.
Jaguar.
Huh?
Jaguar.
A
Yeah,
Jag.
it's Aston Martin.
The upkeep on those is horrible though. It's $100 an oil change.
Yeah, but their cars work.
So just, or more than $100. Well, some people do.
American cars are only good in a straight line.
No, you do mine. Okay, so cigarettes, luxury item. It's something that is not needed. That might be debatable, depending upon who you ask. Very addictive. Now, back in the 90s, and I think also it might have gone to the 80s too. Who could tell me what was the name of that tax that they put on? What was it called? They put a tax on cigarettes, alcohol, all the bad things. Sin tax. Thank you. It wasn't it also spelled S-I-N?
I think so.
I don't think that's
Was it really?
right?
I remember hearing about it.
Jeez. So just another way or reason for the government or reasoning for them to get money from us. What else do they tax us? The air.
I think that's
Yes.
crazy.
Marijuana was
That's crazy
legalized it.
because
Put a sin tax on that.
Oh, that would be a
Add about, like,
tax in itself. That would be
We
its
can talk
own
about
tax
that
in
for a whole
itself.
class.
I don't
20% bracket, maybe.
For extra credit towards the end, you bring the brownies.
Oh, yeah. Makes good
I'll bring
cookies.
the what's it called, the liability forms.
We can say it was
No, we
a
might
school
have some kind of
experiment.
discussion seriously about that towards the end, because it's a local thing. I do talk about in other classes. If we do the end and we have extra time, I do a couple extra credit lectures where I ask you questions, so we'll see.
Sure.
Then we'll all
it's
take-
up in some state legisters.
Huh?
The legalization of marijuana, it's up in some state legisters.
In some other states?
Yeah, like in
Which
Washington,
ones?
like in Washington,
Florida?
Florida, California,
No,
it
not
was, but they
Florida.
turned it down.
Turned it
Okay, we're getting
down.
off the subject.
No, California turned it down.
Voters.
Yeah.
But then we could all take
Washington.
turns driving your vet.
Well, that's a vet engine. But
Okay.
anyway, so, you get the point here. You know what an excise tax is. It's unfortunate we have to pay that. It's just one more way for them to tax us.
Colorado's,
Actually, it's uncomfortable.
Is that right?
yeah, and
Sugar?
candy and
How come?
soda. You
Why?
pay higher taxes on than you
Is there a
do.
shortage?
No,
They're trying to eliminate people from buying it by jacking up the price.
Well, that's what I was saying, yeah. But, what did you say?
Colorado's poor and the
Why?
rest of money.
Colorado health tax.
No, but why? Why?
That's why.
I think they were talking about it costs more because people are getting too heavy and stuff like that.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah,
always
that's
find a
one of the
reason.
ways to try to-
They will take research that they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, the government will, and they'll use that to back up their reasoning. Of course, the consultants that do the research, they can be paid off too. I mean, it's just reality. And then they show, well, we did this research, we can justify this tax, Anyway, so, just like justifying the fees for students, it works the same way. Okay, here's a problem. Angel buys a fur coat, which is a luxury item. Supposedly, it's real. For $5,000, he's going to pay 7% sales tax, and also an additional tax, an excise tax of 8%. Okay? So what we're going to do, look at the calculation. It's very straightforward. You have the cost of the item without the tax. You multiply both tax rates by the cost. You add those two together, you get $750. You add the $750 to the cost, the original cost, and you get the total cost. And by week 8, that shouldn't have been too said too quickly for you, right? You're still here.
What's an excise tax?
What's the luxury?
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to next. Okay, so you made a good point. Could we just multiply 5,000 times 0.15 and get 750? Someone want to try that? Okay, so there you go. And your problems, you can cut out a step here. You're going to have problems with sales and excise taxes. You can just add the two percentages together and make them one.
Yep, 750.
And add that.
So 1.15 times.
1.5. You'll still come out with 750 times 0.15. Any question?
What exactly is an excise tax?
It's a luxury tax.
Okay. No, I thought you were saying it was.
All right, now it's time for the fun part. But I keep it pretty simple. So, property taxes. We pay these on our homes, and these taxes usually go towards doing what? Where's the purpose of them? Who do they go to? Huh? Who do they go to? Which government body?
State.
State? But doesn't the city benefit from that too?
Yeah.
Because I know in our problems, it's based on, you'll see when it's coming up, on what the city needs. So that goes straight to the state then, right?
I think it goes, it goes to the state.
Property tax? Okay.
Property
Goes to the
tax.
county. Well, what I'm saying is, doesn't it get redistributed or something at some
Yeah.
point? Okay, that's what I
Well,
thought.
yeah.
Everything within that.
Well, yes,
It's
That's what I-
supposed to get redistributed.
Because it had no state
All
tax.
right, random conversations. People are trying to learn.
Huh?
Okay.
What's that?
Take a look at the problem, then we'll look at the formula. Property taxes for local fire and police protection, schools, etc. That's what they're for, supposedly, for these services. We have way too many cops around here. Okay. They are based on assessed value. Not to get off just for a second. If you see one, we'll have another spot here. If there's one patrolling, with a gun, with the radar, and there's many others. One thing I learned about the
The
city,
motorcycle.
Where are you from?
New Orleans originally, but not really for what.
Not really.
Too many costs there too. All right. So they are based on assessed value. Now this assessed value is what you have to understand. Assessed value is a percentage of the market value, which is what your home is worth, or appraised at, appraised for, by the
Yeah.
appraiser.
That's how the housing market crashed.
Huh?
That's how the housing market crashed.
Where are you going with that?
The value of the homes were appraised too high, and no one was there to check them.
Oh, okay. That makes total sense. So assessed value, assessment rate times market value. What we're saying here is that you're going to get charged property taxes on a certain percentage of the value of your home, not 100% of the value of your home. Does that make sense? Okay, which is a good thing, right?
And it's tax deductible too.
It's tax deductible. Now, if they charge you, so is the interest on your mortgage. Right? So if they charged you 100% of the market value of your home, what would that mean? You'd be paying more tax. So make sure you get that one written down when you use it a few times. This one also. Okay, this is how we get the tax rate. Now, this budget they speak of, this is for the city. Here's a picture of our city. Doesn't that look like, is it Gotham City or?
The Dark Knight.
Anyway, budget needed means how much funds do we need to cover the city's, well, certain city projects, or maybe all city projects for that coming year, okay? Again, it goes back to public goods, fixing roads, providing parks, public services. And you take they take the budget and then divide it by the total assessed value. Now let me tell you what this means. This is the assessed value of not one person's home, of course. It's of all the properties in that area.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
Yeah, property value.
Right, all of them, not just one.
Yeah.
And you'll see in the okay? So it's very easy to work the problem. You just plug in the two numbers, they give it to you in the verbiage, and you get your tax rate. We'll see how this works in a minute. Ready for another one? Okay, let me show you here in steps. How to calculate property tax, the actual amount of the property tax. Okay, so you write this down however you want. We'll take a look at some examples, of course. In the first step, we already talked about this, didn't we? Compute the assessed value. This was the formula that we just looked at in the yellow box, right? On the previous slide. Or 2 slides ago. So once you get this, you have to have this first, because you're going to use this where? In step number 2. Do you see that? See the connection? And we just looked at this on the previous slide. This is the tax rate. So the budget, which they're going to give you, in the problem, the budget divided by the total assessed value, which they will also give you in the problem. You will not have to calculate either one of these things. They'll be givens. Okay? Next one, step 3, and the final step, the tax rate times the assessed value. So what do you know? In step 2, you have to get the tax rate, and you multiply it times what? The assessed value. So you have to do them in this order. Any questions? Just let people write for a minute and I'll.
They're gonna let us know what the market value is,
Huh?
are they gonna let us know what the market value is?
Oh, good question. They will give you the assessment rate and the market value too. They give you everything, you just have to know the.
Yeah, we just gotta know.
What's a multiply times what? Real easy job.
I looked at the cities. Dallas is ranked like 8.
Oh, you looked it up? Dallas
Yeah.
is 8? I could have sworn.
Because Dallas and Fort Worth are considered 2 separate cities.
Well, I was talking about both of them together.
Both of them together, yeah. But
Because I
they're
heard
not-
this just recently.
No, like it's the same. Like Phoenix is like Phoenix is like 5th, but if you added Tempe, and all that,
No, that includes all that area.
does it really? Okay, so I thought they did. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, they don't consider Dallas and Fort Worth as one, and really they shouldn't be because.
Well, they did on the radio or the.
No, really they're 2 totally different areas.
Okay, this is where we stop with the PowerPoint. Okay. Like I said, you have 12 or 13 problems. 20, 35 minutes. I can make an attempt at going through them. Some of them are we go through very quickly, and some have to slow down just a tad. Most of them go like this. So you want to give it a
I
try?
agree.
Yes, sir. I'm for
Vote.
it. Anybody else?
It's fine.
Okay, yeah, I think you can handle it. Usually it will be 2 days for a chapter. So, per chapter.